In this video, we're going to derive a couple formulas to go from sum to product, and then some examples with that. So these are a couple formulas from last time, the double angle formulas where we add and subtract them. So if you notice, these are the two formulas that we came up for cosine in the last section. If I take those two and I add them, we actually get a new formula. So notice these two here are the same. So if I add them together, I get 2 cosine alpha cosine beta equals, and then notice these two things go away. So those two are gone. And that's going to equal cosine of alpha plus beta. I like the plus one first. Plus cosine of alpha minus beta. That's going to be a formula that you're going to use. You could also, if you would like, divide both sides by 2. I'm not going to because most of the time it's like that. Actually, let's go ahead and do that. So if I wanted to go a little further, maybe I don't have the 2 there, then I could put a half on the other side. Right, so there's our formula. Again, like the other formulas, the big thing is not to memorize them, but to know that they exist. Okay, so this problem, I like to write things down as I work through them. So 2 cosine 7x over 2 times cosine of 3x over 2. All right, this says if I follow this formula, this looks like this one. So this is cosine of adding them together, which is 10 over 2, so that's 5x. And then plus cosine of subtracting the first one minus the second one, that's 4 over 2, that's a 2x. And that's all we can do. So there we go. So that'll help us out sometimes. This is going to help us out in calculus when you guys get there. The end of Calc 1 and practically all of Calc 2, and after that you use it a lot. So this formula shows up a decent amount of times. Okay, so the next one, now they have this cosine of 2 theta cosine of 4 theta. Notice this one doesn't match the top formula, it matches the bottom. So I'm going to need a half. And then cosine of 6 theta, adding, plus cosine of subtracting them. And it's 2 minus 4 theta, which is negative 2 theta. Now, you're going to hate me for this because you'll have to write it again. But we can actually change, come on, change this negative. A negative argument for cosine produces just the same thing but positive. I don't know if you guys remember those rules. I'm going to write them down here for you. Cosine of negative x is actually just the same thing as cosine x, right? Sine of negative x is going to be negative sine x. All right, so those are I have some reasoning in my videos of why that works, but that's how we got to there. They're probably in Lumen not going to be too happy with that, just to be honest. Okay, so that's that formula. It's pretty easy to work with. Again, memorization isn't the goal. It's to be familiar, know it exists. All right, we can do the same thing with sine. These are the formulas from the previous lesson. Now, if I add these, I get sine of alpha plus beta plus sine of alpha minus beta, and the same thing's going to kind of work out here for us. These are gone, and I get 2 sine alpha cosine beta, and then I could even take that a step further and divide by 2 to get our second formula. All right, so nothing changes here, just copying it down, and that equals sine alpha cosine beta. So this one's a little different. We don't get sine sine, but sine cosine. All right, it says express the following product as a sum. So I got sine 4 theta, cosine 2 theta, and I'm just going to plug them into the formula. That's right. I get half times, and it's going to be sine 6 theta, plus sine, this is negative 2 theta. I put the parentheses there this time because of that negative. And then I know, based on what we wrote above, this is going to be sine 6 theta, and then I'm going to get a minus sine 2 theta. That was from what I wrote up in red above here. Yes. All right, so there's that. That's not a 60 or 20, that's 6 theta. I don't know what theta is, so we're done. All right, we got one more here. These are pretty straightforward as long as you know the formulas. So sine of x plus y cosine of x minus y. And I'm just going to follow the formula. Okay, I get 1/2 times, and it's sine, and I add them. So if I add x plus y plus x minus y, I get 2x. Minus, okay, sine, and they want us to subtract them, so x plus y, and then you gotta be careful here, this is x minus y in parentheses. So I'm gonna end up getting 2y, right? That's a great answer. All right, so that's how we use the formulas. Not too bad as long as you know them.